Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
It's Tuesday, January 3rd. This is The Gateway. I'm Wayne Pratt. A new law taking effect in Missouri this week is part of a broader push to change the way children in the state learn to read.
We want to ensure that when you hear conversations across the nation about states who have been successful with reading improvement, Missouri needs to be part of that conversation.
In just a few minutes, St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumke reports on the new teaching methods. That is one of several laws taking effect with the new year, but one of the most discussed measures in Illinois is on hold. The state Supreme Court has halted the abolition of Illinois' cash bail system until further notice. The decision comes after the state attorney general appealed a circuit court ruling deeming the law unconstitutional. Sheriffs and prosecutors from 64 counties, including Madison, Clinton, and Monroe, sued the state to block the bail system overhaul. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul says the high court order is, quote, not a decision on the merits of the constitutionality of the Safety Act. The state Supreme Court is preparing to hear arguments in the case. Latex gloves are now banned in Illinois restaurants. The goal of this new law is to protect people with latex allergies. St. Louis Public Radio's Will Bauer reports some businesses are switching to vinyl gloves.
Alton restaurant owner Glenn Bobian says the Illinois Department of Public Health sent his business, State Street Market, the notice about 1 month ago. Since his restaurant has switched to vinyl, which has its pros and cons, Bobian says. The most obvious, vinyl is cheaper than latex.
From a cost perspective, that's a better win for us. The vinyl gloves aren't as tight-fitting, so they're a tad bit more cumbersome to use, but still is a vehicle to ensure that you're working cleanly.
Restaurants won't be the only to change. In 2024, the state law requires healthcare facilities make the switch too. I'm Will Bauer, St. Louis Public Radio.
Missouri is set to be the first state to execute an openly transgender person. Barring a last-minute reprieve from Governor Mike Parson or the U.S. Supreme Court, Amber McLaughlin will die tonight by lethal injection at the state prison in Bonne Terre. McLaughlin was known as Scott McLaughlin when she was convicted of murdering an ex-girlfriend in 2006 and sentenced to death. She transitioned while in prison. Death penalty opponents and McLaughlin's attorneys say the execution would amount to cruel and unusual punishment and is therefore unconstitutional. They say she suffered abuse at the hands of her adopted father, a police officer, which impacted her mental health. They also say she is intellectually disabled. A researcher at Missouri University of Science and Technology is looking for a genetic connection between high blood pressure and race. St. Louis Public Radio's Jonathan Ahl reports the result may end up combating racism in medicine.
The National Institute of Health is funding the research of Missouri S&T's Zhili Liu. She says Black Americans have a higher rate of hypertension, and that's often attributed to lifestyle choices. Liu says she doubts that's true.
Solve people's misconception like, okay, it's just because of their lifestyle. Lifestyle may matter, but that's not the only factor to consider when you are talking about complex diseases like hypertension.
Liu and her team will be looking for a genome that is linked to an increased risk of hypertension. She says the data can go a long way to help detect risk ahead of time and better treat the disease. In Rolla, I'm Jonathan Ahl, St. Louis Public Radio.
Missouri education leaders are pushing for a big change in how children are taught to read. St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumke reports on the science-backed methods coming to classrooms throughout the state in the new year.
My word is whisper. Which word begins with the same sound? Kitten or whisker? Whisker! Excellent.
It's a Monday afternoon at KIPP Victory Academy in St. Louis's West End neighborhood. First graders are getting fidgety in anticipation of recess, but they're powering through for their teacher, Allison Feldman. She wears a headset that amplifies her voice as she leads the kids through exercises. They're learning how letter sounds combine to make words.
Say down. Down. Change d to lamb.
Feldman is using methods that research has shown are super effective for teaching kids to read. And something seems to be working in this school. KIPP Victory Academy students' English language test scores are growing faster than any other elementary school in Missouri. But the way Feldman and her colleagues teach is not what you would find in most classrooms, or even in her school a few years ago. It's based on something called the science of reading.
It's just a collection of solid research that shows how kids learn how to read.
That's Matt Burns, a professor of special education at the University of Missouri. He says research has shown there are two important things readers need to be good at. One is language comprehension, basically understanding the meaning of a word. The other is actually being able to read those words.
And within reading the words, within that side of the equation, there's lots of things that can come into play, like knowing how to sound out the words, like knowing that words are made of sounds.
For many years, though, different ideas about teaching kids to read have made their way into about 3 out of 4 classrooms across the country. Those methods put less of a focus on research-backed teaching. They put more of a focus on things like encouraging kids to look at pictures in a book, to guess a word they don't know based on the image.
I think those are still pretty commonly used here in Missouri, but I've seen a lot of schools moving away from that.
Missouri education leaders are trying to get schools to move toward the science of reading even faster. At December's State Board of Education meeting, the stakes were clear.
We're going to talk about the NAEP scores. Sometimes this is referred to in the media as the nation's report card. Missouri, along with the nation, saw some very steep decline.
Education leaders looked at charts during the presentation. They showed Missouri students have seen consistent declines in reading scores since 2015, with a big drop after the start of the pandemic.
This is historic. We've never seen anything like this.
So what's the solution? One familiar phrase kept coming up at the meeting.
The science of reading.
Science of reading.
With the science of reading.
State education leaders are doing a few things to promote this. They're rolling out a big statewide effort to get teachers through an intensive professional development program on the science of reading. It can take about 160 hours to complete over the course of 2 years. The state wants 15,000 kindergarten through 5th grade teachers to go through this training. So far, about 9,000 have at least started it. There are also new laws in place. One makes this a required topic for teachers to learn in college. Another law that takes effect this month requires new reading testing for kindergarten through 3rd graders and intensive instruction for students who are found to be struggling.
What we have incorporated in this bill is huge.
That's Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Assistant Commissioner Tracy Hines.
We want to ensure that when you hear conversations across the nation about states who have been successful with reading improvement, Missouri needs to be part of that conversation.
Gift. Good. I heard the last sound.
Back in KIPP schools in St. Louis, about 70% of elementary reading teachers have already begun the science of reading training the state is promoting.
Again, we're going to line up.
In Allison Feldman's class, students line up for the recess they've been waiting for.
It's not very cold outside, but you have to bring your coat out.
Feldman has been teaching at KIPP for 6 years. She says the way her school teaches reading now is very different from a few years ago.
We weren't really teaching kids to listen to the sounds and words.
Now she's a few years into teaching this way, and she's about halfway through the training.
I really enjoy it. It's just a very deep dive into the curriculums that I'm teaching and kind of the why behind everything. It has changed my perspective a lot.
Soon, education leaders hope more Missouri teachers will change their perspectives too. I'm Kate Grumke, St. Louis Public Radio.
Our Mark Degon edited that report. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Wayne Pratt.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.